Hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Everything, and I'm coming at you with another Wargaming in Miniature video. We are continuing our terrain building. We are building some row houses. I've done a little research on row houses, and a lot of the row houses I've seen are mostly brick or spackle, right? And those are basically plain Jane walls, nothing on them. Maybe if it was damaged through warfare or whatever, you might see some of the spackling or the stucco might have broke off, and you see the brick underneath. All that's pretty cool and all, but that's not it. It doesn't really look that great on a gaming table. I mean, if you had a lot of buildings in a city or something like that, that might be exactly what you're needing. But I'm looking for something more, a little bit three-dimensional, more something a little bit more exciting, or even independent on the gaming table. So what I've done, and you knew I was going to do it because I told you I was going to use my 500 pack of wooden sticks, right? These are all 2.5 inches long, okay? And that's what these guys are right here, these 2.5 inch long wooden sticks. And that's what I've got here in the bag. Okay, so what I did was I've taken these 2.5 inch sticks, put them on my measuring table right here, and I went like, okay, what is 2 inches? Because these walls, remember, are exactly 2 inches tall. So I went 2 inches, but then I found usually I need to go down just a little bit, just because I don't need it to go all the way to the top. Right, so I cut it with the X-Acto. Sometimes it cut all the way through, sometimes it didn't. When it doesn't, instead of peeling it back away from my cut, I break it towards the cut, and it snaps. And then I just clean off whatever I need to clean off. Okay, so I'm going to do 2 or 3 of these. Don't remember exactly how many I need to do, so I'm just going to do 3. And see how that one already got cut off. Boom. And you can see I've got a stack of them right here. You have to cut about 100 of these. And I'm being serious. You have to cut about 100 of them for 4 buildings. Because, as you can see that I've placed them next to each window. I've placed a little support bar there, because in Europe a lot of the buildings have those angled support bars. Wood structure, and like the door is framed as well, the window is framed, the end of the walls have a frame on them, all the way around, right? Okay. Same thing with the roof, so, or the second floor, I should say. You know that in Europe, I've noticed when I was in Europe, a lot of people, they call this the first floor, and they call this the ground floor. So you have the ground floor and the first floor. Well, in the U.S., that's not the way it's called. This is the first floor, this is the second floor. So that's just a cultural difference right there. Okay, so the second floor and everything looks great. I've already done a lot of these. Okay, this is the one I didn't do. Let's go ahead and I'm going to show you what I'm doing. Boom, right? This is what you would have seen, just a flat facade. Now I need one on the end, one there, one there, one there, one there, and one there. So how many do I need? 1, 2, 3. Wait, where's my... I don't have any wood there. What the heck? What the who the where the what the... I don't want to cut a whole new one of these out just for that frickin' little piece right there. I'm going to have to do it though. Okay. But luckily, I know that that should be exactly 1 inch, and guess what these are? 1 inch squares. And guess where I break it? I pull it towards the cut, and it snaps. Easy. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. I got the wrong glasses on. I gotta put my Coke bottles on. Give me a second. I think they're ×4 magnification actually, or they're 4.0s or something like that. Okay, I can't believe I don't have this one in there. A little bit of Elmer's. Put it right along the inside of the door frame, along the top, right? Put this bad boy in there. It fits nice and snug. That's cool. And then you got your little thingamajigger. Okay, so I think I need 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, I need 6 of these, not just 3. So let me grab 3 more. Let's cut these out real quick. Okay, so I've got 6. Super easy, right? Alright, so you're following along. And this is like super easy. And then there's something, once I get this glued on, I want, because I've got to concentrate, because my mind doesn't work that way. I can't do 2 things at once. Now luckily I've already done 99% of these. I've already done all the other ones. So we can just move on to the next step without having to wait for everything to dry. Okay, simple. Simple. Put it where I want them, on the end, next to the doors, next to the windows. And then what you do is you just put one of these pieces that we just cut flush with the base and parallel to the window, and it'll go almost all the way to the top. It doesn't have to go to the top. You'll never see that. It'll, because the roof piece or the second floor piece will disguise that. And this Elmer's, don't worry about all this white goopity goop. It dries clear, as you already know. Some of you, if you're new into wargaming or terrain building, you might not know that. You know, I just assume that everybody already knows everything, and that is probably bad. Because the whole reason why you'd come out to watch this video is to maybe you're getting into the hobby and you want to learn how to do it, and you've never done it before. And if I just assume everybody knows how to do it, then I'm doing you a disservice. That's why I'm teaching you all the coolness. Okay, reason why 99% of your terrain builders will use a PVA type glue is because it will dry clear. One of the reasons why I use E6000 is because it's super strong, rubberized. It takes about 72 hours to dry, but when it dries, it's great. It's flexible, it's paintable. Okay, but there's 3 of them. There's a white one, there's a black one, and then there's the clear, the transparente, whatever, the clear one. The clear one is the one I use without fail. All right. That's how easy it is to cut these sticks, glue them on, boom, done, right? Okay. Set that off to the side, let that dry. Now, the next step. See, I'm trying to build all the structure before I go into any of the detailing, like painting and things like that. So tonight we're just going to be doing structures, and then I'll probably do some painting, and I'll probably put some texture on tomorrow. Okay, so we're going to start talking about roofs. Okay, we're going to put a roof on these bad boys, and as you know, I already have some pre-cut backer board from earlier. I used to have a stack of this. It was all pre-cut, but I've made all kinds of terrain with this. So I'm down to just a handful of sheets. I'm going to have to go back and try. Every time I go back to try to find more pre-cut backer board, I don't find any. But it's okay, because you can use the big, huge sheet and cut it down yourself. Okay, well, there, you know this is your building, right? And most of the backer board that I have, other than the black one, most of the backer board I have has white and a colored side. Specifically, these black ones. And it looks like they're made by Crescent. So maybe you could order, maybe I can order it directly from Crescent. I'm gonna have to look into that. But okay, I guess so I got black and I've got the Crescent logo, right? If I was to put it on the roof this way and I build up my roof, when I pick the roof off and I go and set it down somewhere, someone might go, what's on that? Oh, Crescent. I don't want that. It doesn't really matter. Nobody's going to be looking at the bottom of your roof anyway. But I'm going to put it on face down, and then I'm going to build the roof up on top, because you're never going to see that, okay? And then if somebody looks, they'll see it's black. All right, so what I've done is I've put this on the roof, right? Actually, I've measured the roof and all that, but basically I drew a line where I'm going to cut it out. I've already cut this one out, see? Where it's going to fit perfect on my roof. Just like that, okay? Well, this is the attic. Think of it like this. This is the floor of the attic, which might be a third story. And then I'm going to put arched gables on here. I'm going to put triangular gables on each end, and then I'm going to put the roof on. If I was so inclined, you know, you could put like a window, or you could put like a way to get into the roof, and then you could have like guys in the attic, maybe a sniper or something like that. But that's not what we're doing tonight. All right, so let's go ahead and cut this as... Now, luckily this stuff is thin enough and easy enough to cut that you could use a pair of scissors on it. But I don't need to do that. Now I'm going to save these pieces, because you never know. I save everything because I don't know if I'm ever going to need it again or not. You never know. I might need to make a base out of it, or maybe I need to make a door or window or something. Now it's okay if you make these roofs a little bit longer than they should be. It's okay, because if it overhangs your building a little bit extra, that's okay. That's perfectly fine. If it overhangs it, that's okay. So don't stress over the length. Do stress over the width. And the actually, I just told you to stress. No, be concerned or be mindful of the width, because as you know, as you already know, we're going to have these guys as row houses, so we're going to have our buildings side by side, you know. Now, this is something I wanted to point out since I've gone ahead and done the framework. When you notice that the sides, these are side by side, but the frame is flush. You see that? See how the frame is flush like that? So you cannot see down that alleyway that I was afraid of that you would be able to see down. I totally forgot about the frame. Well, the frame disguises that. Now you cannot see down the alleyways. Okay, so we got our two roofs, let's say, hypothetically, and they're going to be side by side, and everything's going to be good. Everything's going to be good. Okay. So now, because we're doing 4 roof pieces, and I gotta have my 4 crescents. Okay, there we go. Got my 4 roofs. I also took remember that little piece of foam board that I totally am glad that there was a piece left, because I need these triangular gables that I'm going to be putting on the end caps. So I went through, and using my 45-degree angle tool right here, I went ahead and drew 45-degree angles. I lined this up, and then I put my ruler down using this and this as a guide, drew my lines. So now I've got my 45-degree angles. So here we go. Let's start chopping these up. I mean cutting them. We want these to be fairly accurate, you know, but it's terrain. Everything doesn't have to be exactly the same. One cut, done. See how easy that is? It's almost like It's too easy. So yeah, now I'm going to go back and say, remember when I said you could possibly make a 5th or a 6th building with one sheet of foam board? Well, I'm lying. I almost buckled down and said, you know, I'm going to make a 5th floor just so that if I ever wanted to make like a 3-story, I could. And then I said, nah, probably shouldn't. I'm not going to worry about it. You know, not for the video. Maybe later down the road. So I was going to put this foam board off to the side and use it later. And then I totally forgot about the gables. I was like, oh my gosh, I got to do the gables. All right, let me cut all these out, and then I'll be back. All right, now we've got our gables cut out, and I made a mistake on one of them. I cut a little bit too much off of one corner, but that's okay. It's terrain. We'll be able to fix that up a little bit. So when I go to take these 2 roof pieces, let's say, and if you notice, I've made them the exact same length as my roof. I'm going to glue them on here and there, right? And then, oh, it is too long. Okay, and then when I put the cross piece on, when I put the 2 top pieces, that's going to cause this to be supported, and so you're not going to see this bending and warping, okay? Because the roof is going to be, it won't be able to bend out because the roof will hold it, and it won't be able to bend in because the roof will hold it. So basically, by putting the roof pieces on there, this is going to stop it from bending. All right, guys. Now the next step is I've got these jumbo popsicle sticks. Okay, these are great for doing fences, hedges, walls, also bocage, because they're wide enough that you can build up some. Flooring. What do you? Build up a mound before you put the hedge on the top. Now these need to be 6 inches long for our roof, because when I put the roofs up, okay, when I put the triangles up, I'm going to put a layer of these on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it down on my handy dandy measuring table here, and I'm going to draw a line at the 6-inch mark. All right. What I do normally is just cut a little bit off, cut a little off the end, and then measure 6 inches. That's 3, that's 6. And I want to do a bunch of these. All right, let me get these drawn, and I'll be right back. All right, so I got my lines drawn on these popsicle sticks. Now, these popsicle sticks, what you do is you take a pair of scissors, and you go through those lines you just drew, and just cut it nice and slow, nice and easy, and boom, you get a straight line. And do it on both ends, nice and slow, nice and easy. Now, the piece that you just cut off is usually striated. I mean, you basically tear it up, but who cares? These could later be shingles or whatever you want to use them for. I mean, they're awful big for that. But okay, there we go. So boom, I need to make 2 per side of the roof per roof. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 times 4. I need 16 of these. All right, so let me go ahead and cut those out, and I'll be right back. Now, if you're curious about which pair of scissors I'm using, these are Fiskars. These are Fiskars Duck Edition. I've cut metal with these. I've cut, and they have not lost their edge. And I've not had to go through and resharpen them. All right. All right, so I've got hopefully there's 16 of these, and they're all 6-inch roof slats. All right, so now let's start assembling this roof. Because it's structural, there's going to be some structural integrity issues. I'm going to use my E6000. It's nice and flat. These are going to be nice and flat against the edge. Oops. Yeah, that's right. And I'm going, it's going to be painted anyway, but we're going to put this all the way onto the end. Okay, so when we go ahead and glue that down, we got to make sure that it's all the way to the edge. All right, let's open this thing up and let's progress and show you what I mean by the roof. Now, applying some downward pressure, make sure you're working on a flat surface so that the downward pressure doesn't warp or bend anything. It actually makes it flat. Now I'm pushing this down. I'm going to hold it for a few moments. I'm going to clean up any extra glue residue that might have dripped. Okay, that's not good enough. So let's continue on. We're going to do the other, I think this is called a gable. Roof arch. Okay, all the way to the edge, centered. That's the plan anyway. Okay, so now when you put the gables on, you want to go ahead and glue them as close to the edge as you can. Right? You want to apply some downward pressure to get the glue started, setting in the right spot. Right? Now, to keep it from tipping over, one thing you can do is use one of those scrap pieces of foam board. Just put glue on two edges of it, the L shape. Just put it in the middle of your wall and floor to give it kind of a prop right there, so it doesn't want to tilt left or right because it'll be stuck on there. Alright, so the next step, once you get your walls up on your roof and you got your supports in place to keep the walls standing upright, now you take a couple of your wooden slats and we're going to go ahead and glue them across the walls right here. But you want to keep it so that they don't slide or fall. So what I do is I take a couple of paper clips, and these are basic, and just bend out the tips a little bit. And then find out where you want the board, right? And then just butt up your paper clip and push it into the foam. Doesn't have to be deep, just enough to so that when the wood is on there, it'll rest on the paper clip and not slide. So it'll look something like that. Now you just take this piece, apply some glue to it, right where it would glue onto the roof piece. Apply some pressure. All right, and so we got the start of our roof. Now we're only gonna take a couple of these per side because I'm gonna cover this with another piece of cardstock. All right, and so what you're getting is like a couple of wood planks going across your roof, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a couple of these per side, you know, with maybe a little gap in between them. It's no big deal. But yeah, we're just going to do a couple per side, and that's going to be our frame for the roof. Alright, so let me get those done and then I'll be back. Alright, now when doing the bottom one, you want to do it, I don't know, maybe about, not a full inch, but maybe 3/4 of an inch up on both sides. Now you notice there's a gap there. That's fine, because I'm going to be covering this with cardstock. You could go as far as use 3 if you wanted to per side, but I don't think that's necessary. I think it's excessive. 2 per side should be fine. Plus, I like the fact that when I put the cardstock on there, sometimes over the years it will sag, and I think the sagging actually gives it character. Almost like it's an actual old cottage or something. Apply some pressure, and okay, so now what I'm going to have to do is set this off to the side and let this rest. And then once it rests for maybe, I don't know, 30 minutes or so, I'll go ahead and pull the paper clips out so that they don't get permanently glued in. Work on another one. Alright, let me finish all these and then I'll be right back. Alright, so I've got all the roof frames done. I know, right? That was a lot of work. Just for the frames. Now, what I'm planning to do is taking some cardstock. I don't have any over here with me, but basically it's like super flexible cardstock. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay it across the entire thing as one layer. And then on top of that, I'm going to take some cardstock strips, cut them into shingles, and layer that, well, actually layer it up to the top, and then I'm going to put one piece on the top. So there's going to be a couple of layers on this roof before we're done. Alright guys, I'm going to give this about 30 minutes to dry. I'm going to pull the paper clips, and if it's dry enough, we'll go ahead and start with the cardstock roof. Alright guys, while we're waiting for the roof wood to dry against the gables, and the gables against the baseboard, I went ahead and cut out the cardstock that's going to be on the sides, right? And these are all 3.5 by 6 inches. Okay, and then these are 6-inch long strips, exactly 1/2 inch wide. Okay, now these are going to be the overlapping ceiling tiles, you know, ceiling roof tiles, what do you call them? Shingles? These are going to be the roof shingles. Now what I need to do is I need to turn these into shingles. Now you've seen what shingles look like on roofs. Okay, so visualize this with me, right? This is a shingle, and this is a bunch of shingles here. Okay, but then this is a second shingle. Now this top shingle is going to overlap this first shingle. Can you see that on the camera? I hope you can. And it's going to overlap about half of it, right? So you're getting, so this will glue on, and then this one will glue on, but cover half of the shingle. Okay, so what that means is I need to cut up about 2/3 of the way, so that when the top shingle lays on top of this, you'll cover up any of the slits. Okay. Now, do you need to go perfect 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1/2 inch, 1 inch all the way across? No. Just randomly cut into it, and then just randomly, and I've got, I don't know how many do I have here. I've got probably 100 of them that I'm going to have to do, right? So I'm going to take some time to cut these out, and when I'm done cutting these out, that's probably going to be dry. Okay, now, so here we go. Let me show you how it's done. Let me show you how it's done. You just take a random distance, and I'm kind of thinking about 1/2 inch, and then you cut in about that far. And if I do that every 1/2 inch, or every 1/2 inch, and guess what? I'm only eyeballing it, so they're not going to be perfectly lined up. And I just split the difference on that one. Okay, so now you're going to have shingles, ceiling tiles that are going to look a little bit like this. Now, I'll explain this in detail when we get to that step. When I get to the step where I'm actually gluing them on. This is going to take me 30 minutes just to do this. But when I get to gluing these shingles on, you're going to want them to be off. You don't want them to be okay. So you're not going to want the slits to be right on top of each other. You're going to want them to be off like that. So to be able to do that, you're going to have some sticking out on this end and maybe nothing sticking out on this end. So what you're going to have to do is maybe split these in half and then kind of alternate how you use them. If you can, I've thought about taking a selection of these, like 5 at a time, and cut. Let's see if this will cut 5 at a time. It does. Alright, so let me get these cut out, let this wood dry, or the glue dry, and then I'll be right back. Alright, here's a little technique to help you with that whole shuffling process. I'm taking a wad, right, probably about 8 of them, and I split these in half, and then I pull them off center. So now you've got a little bit off center, which is perfect, so that now when you're cutting your 3/4 cut, each piece, the tiles are not in the exact same spot. They're off center. Alright, let me finish and I'll be back. So I got all these shingles cut out, and I'm gonna go ahead and use those on the roofs, and I've got my 8 roof sides for my 4 roofs. I'm gonna put them off to the side over here. I shouldn't need a ruler for anything right now. Alright, so now let's go ahead and pluck our paper clips out, and we'll just put them back in their box. The glue's not dry yet, but they shouldn't need the paper clips anymore to stay where they need to stay. It's only been about 20 minutes. It didn't take me that long to cut those out. I thought it was going to take me all night. But I did them like at 20 sheets at a time. Man, my Fisker's scissors are like the shit. Alright, let me pull all these. I'll be right back. Alright, these guys are not dry yet. I can tell already. But what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and before we put the shingles on, we're just going to go ahead and start gluing these on. These are the side plates, and they're just going to glue on simple enough, just like that, right? Alright, so let's go ahead and start doing that, and then I'll be right back. No, let me just start doing that. Hey, how about that? This is where tacky glue might come in handy. Now that I'm thinking about it. Alright, so now you just glue the cardstock onto the sides of each of your roofs, right? It should be no problem. You just Put a little glue on the popsicle sticks. Put a little glue on your cardstock. Slap it on there. And it's okay if you got a hole on the top. That's where you're going to be filling that in with the shingles. And we'll get into that once we get to the shingles. Now you might be concerned that there's a little bit of space here and there and there, and specifically up underneath there. Don't worry about all that. Not only will it be hidden, it'll be hidden basically, so you don't have to worry about it. I mean, it's not something that is immersion breaking. Alright, let me put these on, and then I'll be right back. Alright, so we're going to let these dry, and then we'll be back. Now, I think I'm going to let these dry quite a while, so this will probably be the end of the video tonight. I'm going to be done working on the buildings tonight, so we'll go ahead and finish them up tomorrow. What am I going to do tomorrow? Basically, I'm going to be putting the shingles on, right? Let's take a look. Let's kind of take a look at a building here. Okay, so we've got all the wood on. We have the ground or first floor. We have the second floor. All right. We have our roof, which is going to be, I probably should put some wood struts through there, huh? What do you think? Like some going up this way, got some going up, but I'll do all that tomorrow. And I'll be able to use these wood pieces that I still have. And then we're going to put the shingles on. We're going to put those little extra wood pieces on. I've decided I'm going to do that. And then I'll put a very little bit of spackle on it, some dry decks that I use all the time. And then we'll spray paint it, dry brush it, and then that'll be the end. So if you've got models that you want to put on the top floor, you take the roof off, right? So if you got a guy that you want to put in the top floor, you know, you certainly can do that, you know, and then, or a squad. And then if you've got a squad that you want to put on the ground floor, you grab one of your guys or your squad and you put them on the ground floor, right? And then you can put, so then you'll have guys in the ground floor, you have guys on the top floor, and you can kind of see how that's a good scale, 2 inches. Alright, so let this dry. See you tomorrow.